We're back, baby. Bam, 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 bam. Hello, hello. Come on, dog. Sorry. I got a dog attacking me right now. Call the authorities. Okay. So. Oh, Jesus. It's been a while. It's definitely been a while. Because of a few things. And one of the more recent ones is because I've been incredibly sick. But I believe I have the upper hand to what's going on right now, with plenty of medication that is not from the pharmaceutical, and but I will say they pulled through, because I did take a decongestant, and that puppy worked really well. So yeah, here we are. What are we? Episode 4. Yeah. So I guess, let's start this puppy off, because what I want to do is actually talk about, or at least let you guys know, actually, of a really cool news channel. I guess it's not really news. It's more like a public broadcasting channel. And somehow I don't exactly know how. I think my brother-in-law told me about this channel, and then I looked it up online, and then actually it said that my provider had it, and it's pretty cool. It's called Link TV, LINK TV. And I believe it's funded by the Birther Foundations and maybe the Parks Foundation. I'm not totally sure. I could be wrong. But I know they have a few, and it's all public. It's all publicly funded. The whole spiel, the whole normal process of you watching it. If you enjoy the shows, you can donate. You can buy the DVDs of the shows for like triple the amount that they're really worth, but it's a wealth of knowledge. So I guess we should support that, even if it costs a couple more dollars. So yeah, it's Link TV. Okay, check online if you have cable or if you have satellite, whatever that is. Check and see what channel that is. I know if you run Direct TV, which is I think what I have, Direct TV. I think it's $3.75. Check it out. It has all kinds of different things. I've watched a slew of different documentaries on there. They have daily newscasted shows, or one of them's called Democracy Now! You can even go on that specific website and look up all of the different broadcasting times for that one. And that's actually a news show on there, and they cover some really, really good stuff. It's a good hour long. I think it's hosted by Amy Goodman, I believe. Amy Goodman. And, yeah, I believe it's, Amy Goodman. So, and some of the documentaries on there are incredible, man. Incredible. One of them that really stuck out to me the most was, actually two of them did, a while ago. I think one was called Ethos, and the other one, which I think I have an ad, or at least like a little pilot for it in the video section on our site. And Ethos, and another one was called, I think, Koch brothers. And if you never heard of the Koch brothers, they're these two, I'm not sure if they're Russian or their father was Russian. These two tycoons, I believe they're like big oil industry, gas resource tycoons. And they really talk about how influential they are into a lot of different sectors of politics and education, and they use a lot of the money that they actually make with their industry to I don't know, I guess push a lot of their beliefs and their slants and their angles onto a lot of other industries, which obviously affect us, which is kind of weird, So yeah, just a lot of exposure of a lot of like ill intent kind of business. So it's pretty cool. I like it. There's no like political slant to it. It's I don't believe it's very biased. And some of the things that they do cover and they do go over, you don't really see on a lot of regular news channels. So check it out. It's Link TV. Okay. And we can't forget our friend Chris O'Brien and the power bracelets. Okay, you can never forget the power bracelets. And where where can you obviously get these power bracelets? Okay, these power bracelets are incredible. And I think I mentioned last time, if you get together with a few friends and you all have that bracelet, I'm not totally sure, but the rumor has it that you will summon, I believe, Captain Planet. Okay, Captain Planet. And let's see, where are we? Where are we right now? Where are we right now? You can get these at equalityforeternity.com. And these bracelets, you know, as simple as they are, they stand for, I believe, like Brian said, you know, they stand for people that want to live in the year of reason, which should be the future of the reason, you know. They advocate for equal marriage, equal rights for anybody of any gender to love whoever they want of any gender, and you know, support that. It's the future. It's actually been the past, but for some reason it's been put under this very weird microscope that has just pushed this weird idea that it's not natural and that it's this and that it's that and that you know, I really don't even know. I'm not even going to try to get too philosophical or deep about it. It's just you know, it's very weird. You know, the straight and gay community have existed for you know, quite a long time, and you know, as of recently, I've just been hearing some conversations talk about a lot of our elite warriors of history, whether it's through the European times, whether Mongolians or the Roman empires, and really even a lot of the samurai culture, a lot of the elite warriors, because they were so engulfed in such a male-dominated culture, that a lot of them actually were gay. So, you know, if you want to be a badass, and you want to go down in history as somebody who ruthlessly went after and destroyed all opposition, whether it was good or bad, okay, you might contemplate going on the other side of the tracks, because I think those guys had it down, all right? I think those guys had it down. So, anyways, equalityforeternity.com. Go get your bracelets, guys, all right? Go get your bracelets. Be a part of the year of reason. Now, if I don't sound totally natural, or if I sound disgusting, it's because I'm still sick. I'm still getting over whatever the hell I have, okay? So, enjoy either the nasty or sexy voice for the next maybe 20 minutes or so, okay? Hopefully you can understand me, because I can barely understand myself. So, I just want to let you know, actually, you know what? Well, I'm skipping ahead. I'm going way too far ahead. Let's get some music going here, okay? So, who we're going to showcase really for this episode is a group that I knew a couple people in when I went to college, and they're a hip-hop group actually out of the Midwest, out of Minnesota, and very, very good group, very diverse in a lot of the music that they do, and incredibly hardworking. All of these people do a lot of their own beats. They contribute to all different angles of the production, of the songwriting, and really embody the culture of like the artistic movement of just heavy grinding, do-it-yourself musicians, you know, and they intertwine a lot of just musicianship and the hip-hop beats that they use, and they're a pretty big group. I mean, as in like how many members they have. The group is called Doomtree, and it's leaving me right now for how many members they have. I believe it's 7, maybe 7 or 8. A couple of MCs, a few of them sing. I had one of them as a teacher in school. Her name was Dessa Darling. She does a lot of the clean vocals, and she does a lot of rapping on a lot of these CDs. And I believe they have a couple producers too, which also sub in as, obviously, well, not sub in, but are their DJs when they play live. So it's pretty good, man. So I'll just get it going. I'm gonna play a couple tracks off of an album that came out in 2008, and I believe it's just called Doomtree. That's it, man. It's Doomtree. The cover has like a bunch of little boxes on it, and it just says Doomtree on it. And by the way, a lot of these guys have multiple albums on their own. They almost do that Wu-Tang thing where they get together and they do this collective thing together, and it's huge, it's awesome, it's big production, people love them. And then in between album releases or in between whatever, they always work on their own things, whether it's their own literature, books. I know a couple people that have done that, or just work on their own albums, and just really fine tune their own approach to their music. I know Dessa's got a couple CDs. Another guy in there is called POS, who's absolutely nasty. He's got a couple CDs out there, so check these guys out. I'll try to put a link up on the site, whether it's a logo or just a regular link or whatever. So we'll play a couple of these guys, and I hope you enjoy it. It's pretty good. I love it. Listen to it all through college. I still listen to it now. They got a couple albums out. The one we're going to listen to is a couple years older, so yeah, check them out. They're absolutely worth listening to, and they're still grinding the scene. I think they've actually been on tour for the last almost year or so, and they've played some pretty big shows. So help them out. Get some CDs, or at least get a couple tracks if you like a few of them, and just crank them, because they're really good. A lot of good beats, a lot of talent, and a lot of really diverse subject matter too. Real badasses. I love them. Excuse me, I gotta get a drink. Alright, sorry. So unprofessional, right? But fuck it, I'm not a professional. So, alright guys, check this out. So, I think the last couple of years, it's kind of, I've kind of had this thing going on where, I get really curious about certain stuff, I myself, I'm a musician, so, and I think a lot of musicians and just anybody that obviously works in any facet of art, they like to explore new ideas, you know what I mean? That's kind of half the game of really trying to dig deep and try to figure out what you want to do next for a project, and write or create, and we have like that, I don't know, I guess you could call it, I've heard, like the exploratory mind, you like to explore new ideas, new dimensions of just like, opinions, beliefs, realities, and since I guess I kind of fall into that, a little bit of myself falls into that pool, it also reaches out into other things too, just kind of how I carry myself as I don't know, as an individual. Everybody's always looking to expand their mind and look at new concepts, and just try to I don't know, I don't know, I guess explore life in whatever way that is, and sometimes life can kind of come at you, which makes you start to question certain things. And I guess what I'm really trying to say is I've been getting into, I feel like I've been really intrigued by this like subculture of people that really conspire together to criticize a lot of angles of whether it's foreign affairs or politics or entertainment or media and things like that. And it's kind of a weird thing to fall into, you either brush it off like it's kind of this group of people that that have way too much time on their hands, and they're looking into all the negative aspects of what's going on in our culture and all and everything, or something grabs you and you're like, well, I'll look into that and see what that's about. Does this have any merit to it? And excuse me. And I guess that was me. I don't really know what the first thing was, but I just I might have watched a video or whatever, and obviously all this happened before, like, this whole Link TV thing, Some of these things I watch on this Link TV, I'm just like, I didn't know this went on, or I didn't know that this was something that affected me almost on a daily basis, or could affect me, And sometimes it can get you, like, a little frustrated, initially, like you've been hustled, when you start hearing certain things like I don't know, certain things where you're almost looked at as just like a statistic to a consumer kind of template, for for some monetary kind of corporate gain, I guess, and I don't know, something about that's like, it's a little weird to me, I don't mind buying shit. I'm into all the new technology. I'm into all the new, like, cool things or innovative things that I feel are somewhat, or are positive, or are fun, just fun in general, And I understand everything's a double-edged sword, like technology and all that stuff, but it's the future. There's no reason to not enjoy where we are going to go as a race. And that includes that obviously includes technology. But that also includes like certain changes in I guess the ethos of how we look at things, or how certain systems run, and how certain systems work. So just a couple things that I guess I wanted to throw at you if you wanted to look into some of these things that I'm talking about, that I think are somewhat, they're pretty, they're pretty, how do I say this? I don't know. They're just pretty cool, They really help me open my mind a little bit to certain ideas, I like to be able to have certain conversations like this with people, and I want to be able to be a little more schooled in just my own life, what to do to help others, to help myself, and what to do to avoid being, I guess being hustled, or being a part of something that is like a facade just to distract me. You know what I mean? Because that's what I feel like I'm finding a lot of things are just like weird distractions to keep you from really sitting down and contemplating either the good or really a lot of the bad that's going on, and what you can do to possibly lean certain ideas further into the future so that things can possibly change, you know what I mean? As a collective, I guess, obviously, So I guess the first one I really wanted to talk about was just another news source. Now, everybody, I guess you can either not like news or you can like news. I don't know. It's like, do you read the newspaper? Do you watch TV? Do you watch the news? Do you care about either what's going on in your community, or do you care about what's going on overseas, or all in general? We all have jobs. We all care about, like, all right, what's the minimum wage going to be like, or what is this going to be like, or when's weed going to be legalized, or when is it going to be this and that and this and that? All these things are an aspect of news. So, I've realized that nothing that I've really been interested in, or the things that I want to learn about, they don't really cover it on a lot of the of television, So you just really got to dig into your own sources, and that's the beauty and the freedom of the internet. It can be a crazy place where people obviously put up a lot of rhetoric and their own kind of opinions. But if you do enough digging and you have enough sources that you trust and that you enjoy to listen to or whatever, those sources or those people or those things that you're involved in, they can push you to the things that they also enjoy. And one of them to me was I got pushed onto a website called RT.com. Not exactly sure what the hell that even means, but RT.com is it's a whole news, like an online news source, and it's got a couple shows on there. And really, what got me introduced into this thing was a journalist who works for this was on a Rogan podcast. The Joe Rogan Experience podcast. And from then I started following her on Twitter and things like that. And she always puts up great articles on things that she's working on, or she puts up the links to her half-hour show that she has on this RT News. Where this is out of, I'm not exactly sure. I don't believe it's actually out of the United States, but maybe it is. I'll have to look into it a little more, because the things that they talk about is incredible. You would never see a lot of this stuff on regular news. And I believe her name is Abby Martin, and I think her show is called Breaking the Set. And I think they're all at least like a good half hour or so. And great show, man. She's got some really, really good guests on there. She covers a lot of really good stuff. Like, let's see, what the hell, all kinds of stuff. She'll cover and talk to people about whether it's like the government shutdown, the NSA spying whole scandal that's been going on, which has been going on for years, But I think it's a great thing that obviously it's been so boiled up to the point where it's exploded onto the mainstream. You know what I mean? That whole NSA thing has been such a subculture for so long that it's hard to get anybody to listen to you because they think you have no credibility to it. And that's kind of the weird thing, is that you got to have a story almost get on this main stage that likes to manipulate stories to get people to even really look at it as a consensus or a knowledge, you know. So the NSA thing, they'll talk about certain corporations like Nestle and shit like that, like Nestle, Chevron. They'll talk about just a lot of different aspects, whether they're small stories that have to deal with a bigger concept or the big concept itself, you know. So check out RT.com if you want to, you know, go back and forth and check kind of like your, I guess, national and international news. You can check out some of the journalists on there, and I'm sure they all have Twitter feeds, so if you don't want to go there, you can just get the Twitter feed from whichever journalist you really, really enjoy, and they put up all kinds of great articles. I follow Abby Martin on there and two other guys on there, and they always have some good stuff. So, and that's really actually how I use my Twitter. You know, I don't follow too many like friends or just like, I don't know, like celebrities. I guess that's a lot of who we follow. And I got a couple on there. I love my Devin Townsend. You know what I mean? You know, Joe Rogan and stuff like that, but a lot of different journalists that I've heard through along the way, and they all have different, you know, they all have Twitter feeds, and they put up a lot of good articles and videos, like I said. So it's a good way to get informed of some shit that maybe we should try to look into a little more, you know, because it's not covered too much everywhere else. So check that out. I guess that's the first thing I wanted to throw at you guys. RT, you know, and if it sucks and you don't like it, you know, fuck it, you know, don't listen to it or don't watch it, you know. But I'm just trying to give you a couple like alternative ways of I guess getting your information if you want to get kind of schooled on like the modern times and where we're gonna go, you know. I mean, I don't. It's to me it's important, you know. You know, the second thing I kind of want to talk to just real quick was actually someone who is a teacher here in Massachusetts, and he teaches at, I believe, MIT. And when I looked him up, it's like he is like this crazy figure from the 60s and the 70s, all through the 80s, 90s, you know, and he still teaches. He's an older man now. I think he was born in 1928, so whatever the hell that is. I think he's 84. His name's Noam Chomsky. Noam Chomsky? And this guy's new to me. I've actually asked some people, and one of them a teacher out in Framingham State, and another one is like a public relations or civil liberties lawyer that I actually know. Really, really cool guy. And I asked both of them about this Noam Chomsky guy, and they love him. And what I'm finding is people either love this guy or absolutely hate this guy. You know, they can call him, you know, anti-American, and you know, why is he even living here if he has all these views? And some people find him, you know, one of the most influential, like, public intellectuals, you know, in the world. And I think that's actually what they gave him as a title one year. You know, whether people agree with him or not, you know, he was so active that he really like got a lot of people's attention. And just some of the things that he's got over 100 books, and what really got me onto him, not to bring up Link TV again, or maybe to bring it up again anyways, was that there was a documentary, like a 3-hour one, so I had to watch this thing in sections, because I was, you know, going to go crazy just watching this whole thing, you know, and it was cool because it felt like a 1991's production, you know, real fuzzy feed, real hacked together, you know, tape, but it was so cool, really badass, and a lot of digging to make that, you know. And, man, he goes through the gamut of just all these different things that I never really knew about, or, and not to say that I might believe a lot of it, but some of it that I have tried to look a little deeper into, it's pretty cool. It's a little scary, but it's pretty cool, you know. He talks about, like, a lot of this weird manipulation that happens through media, manipulation that happens through language, because he's a linguistics teacher, and an analytical, philosopher too, I guess. And you know, he gets into all different ways of just how the powers that be suppress certain aspects of the genre, whether it's through sports, whether it's through entertainment, whether it's through this and that, you know, and or just how blatantly we're lied to when we're brought into certain situations of massive war, you know, and why we go into war and all that. And he has just a library of things, you know. I won't run off all of them, you know. The documentary I watched was called Manufacturing Consent, you know, and it's very cool, man. It's very cool. And I watched a couple of things lately that sorry, that as much as they're difficult to watch, you know, they can be incredible, like, I want to call them like paradigm bombs, you know. They dismantle the whole foundation sometimes of what you thought was your reality, you know what I mean? And it can be a little scary, you know. It can buckle your knees a little bit, like, you know, you're just sitting there, and when you're done listening to these lectures or whatever, it can make you feel like wow, I've been going down this road for so long, or I'm a part of this system, or is this what's really going on? And then the first thing you think of is like, well, this is too much for me to be able to do anything about it, you know. But for me, after a while, you filter this. It's kind of empowering, you know. It's almost, it feels good to step out of line, you know. I guess metaphorically, you know what I mean. Like, you step out of line so you can see who's directing the line and what this line even is. You know, we're all kind of in this together, and I don't know, you know, it's like, that's just how my brain works. I really like these things, you know. I'm a metalhead ever since I was young, you know, and the culture of the metalhead and aggressive music and just any kind of, like, any left turn kind of music, or music that's really just like under the carpet and really appreciated by the practitioners and the devout listeners, is that, you know, we're against the grain, you know. I've always been against the grain. That's the metalhead way, you know. And I'm against the grain when it comes to all aspects, you know. I realize I've grown to be very defiant to things, and I question a lot of things, you know. And whether it can get me in trouble or not, I question a lot of authority these days. And I don't know if it's my age and I'm just getting older and I don't know whether I'm getting more mature, which I definitely don't think I am. But you give less fucks, you know what I mean? You care less about what people have to say about you or your beliefs. But for me, what I really care about is really not defining, but like remolding all the time, remolding my perceptions all the time, you know, of how I should conduct myself and really what goes on around me, you know. I find it incredibly intriguing. It's what life is all about, you know. It's not to understand it all, because you never will, you know, but to get a small grasp of your environment, you know, and where you could be going and what you can do, you know. I really wanted to you know, all of this kind of digging deep into all these different sources, like the Noam Chomsky thing and the news and stuff. It's so that I can become aware, so I can maybe try to do something small, you know. I don't want to get intimidated and feel like I gotta do something great, I gotta do something massive, I gotta be with a freaking blowhorn just, you know, yelling at everybody saying, you know, this is this and this is that way. It's like, no one's gonna listen to you like that, you know. Whether it's how you spend your dollar or whether it's this and that, you know. And like I've said in the last podcast, you know, like the whole Credo app thing, you know, I think that's a great way to just do small things to help a greater cause, you know, and then you can feel like you're a part of something, because you really are, you know. You don't have to do something massive, and you can if you want to, you know. You can petition, you can, you know, send out emails, you can get a whole movement going, you can have a protest, you know, you can be the head of all that. But some people just don't have that time, man. Life is just constructed to just take up your time. And sometimes when you get home, you're tired as fuck, you know? And to come home and to want to deal with the stresses of all these kind of things, I can see why people would just have that apathy about it. Just like, fuck it, I don't care, you know? Because it is exhausting. But it's not for me. I really like it, you know. I'm somebody that always has to have something going on, whether it's music, whether it's writing, whether it's just living life experiences, whether it's like my health, you know, or all this information, all this stuff that's going on. I like this. I like being aware. I want to know what's going on. All right, sorry. So not to go too crazy, you know, I can't get too into it, but just look up Noam Chomsky. Look up a couple of his lectures. He's got some good videos out, everything. The last thing I really wanted to talk about, too, I guess before this is all done, is I just got word, and this is one of the guys that I actually talked to, my lawyer buddy there told me about this today, and I looked into it, and I think this is a big deal where, long story short, this guy named Glen Greenwald, who works for The Guardian, which is the newspaper that actually put out a lot of the information, and I think some of the first interviews for that Snowden character, the guy from the NSA who really brought it up to the mainstream light. Glen Greenwald, he lives out in Brazil, and he's been, really prosecuted for a lot of things that he said, but he's doing everything with conviction and stands by everything that he says, and has a lot of really good interviews out there. Check him out. But the news is that him and a guy named Jason Scahill, who I've heard of before, who makes incredible documentaries, wrote a book called Black Water. That has to do, I believe, with either the book is, or he's got a documentary on really getting down and dirty on how the society that is actually being really engulfed in this whole drone war thing in the Middle East is reacting to America and reacting to the drone wars, and just kind of how many civilians are really getting killed and things like that. And you can have your own opinion on, obviously, whether it's right or wrong to do that. Like there's less bodies on the ground, but now we have machines blowing people up from farther away. So it's better for us to not be there on the ground. But, how accurate are these things? Are they killing more civilians than they are their real targets? Who knows, Or maybe we do know. We just got to figure that out, bring it up to the light. But him, Jason Scahill, one other woman I think that they work with, and who does documentaries, all three of them are working with the founder of eBay. And the guy's name is Pierre Omidyar, I believe. I have no freaking clue how to fucking say that. Pierre Omidyar. And Pierre Omidyar, he is he's the founder of eBay, and he is donating $250 million to these three, so that Glenn can actually collect together a slew of different journalists that all kind of have the same mindset, have the same kind of ethical compass to what journalism is, and especially in this time where a lot of things are really starting to turn around. I'm sure everybody has somebody or themselves have been frustrated with some certain aspect of whether their government or their own life that a certain aspect of government or corporation has an influence on. People are just aren't doing their job, and if they are, they're doing it maliciously. And I've heard people talk about the transparency of the internet is really bringing a lot of this shit up to light. So people can't get away with things as easy as they can anymore, and I really like that. So what they're doing is he's donating all this money so that they can make a new alternative media news channel, and I believe it's going to start its way online. So the whole thing is going to be almost set up, I guess, like RT. If you go to RT, you'll know what I mean. Like an RT, or almost like a CNN, Big, bold production with really good journalism and really heavy stories that do affect you, whether they talk about, things that they don't talk about, Nobody talks about, like, genetically modified foods, you know what I mean? The potential effects on the birth rates, you know what I mean? Miscarriages, your diabetes, your health, I started learning about that, and it's like I don't see that anywhere, really, And obviously, I guess I'm lucky enough to really get a little bit school from some different friends from work and things like that, because they really believe in like healthy eating and things like that, and I am too. Plain and simple. If I eat like shit, I feel like shit. If I feel good, I feel good. That's not to say that that's the way. If you eat like shit and you feel good, then that's wonderful. I actually wish I was you. But that's just not me, And so yeah, they'd cover the GMO thing. They would cover just a lot of malpractices going on with just I would think just like a lot of the political system and where to go so that you can find better options for people that want to represent you in a more justly way, that have a better aspect of what society really needs and really wants, as we go into the future. And those are just some of the things, because the weird thing is there's a lot of good in the world. There's really a lot of good, but sometimes the bad is kind of so, I guess, malicious and corrupt that it really outweighs talking about the good, because the good is there. There's no reason to change it. There's a reason to change the shitty things in the world. So that's why you need to talk about them, and at least talk about them, and at least question things, It's incredibly good to question things. Don't just go with the flow and go with your first assumption, There's nothing wrong with not having an allegiance, to a certain color or a certain country, Like, there's no reason for it. It's like having an allegiance to a family member that has given you all the riches in the world and let you stay at their house, but every time they give you something new, they kind of tickle your asshole, but you don't tell anybody. It's like, it's okay. You can rat that motherfucker out. He should be ratted out, or she should be ratted out. So yeah. So I mean, that's kind of a big thing. I like that. Alternative media coming together from journalists that have been really under like a lot of scrutiny and the spotlight as of recently, trying to make a new network for some really integrity-driven news stories, and I like that, and I think hopefully that might be the future, because there's a lot of people looking for alternative information these days, because I think a lot of people are just frustrated with what they're getting fed and what they're getting given, and when you don't know where to look, hopefully they can make it easy for you to find it and to make it almost like give it almost get it to a point where it feels popular to go to and watch the news on this thing, and hopefully maybe they can get in some kind of contracts with some either public stations or just anything really on TV, because the TV really runs a lot of what what our consensus is, or what our opinions are, and that's a really scary thing to just get it from that one source, But we'll keep up to date with that, and I'll check on that story and see where it goes, and try to throw whatever progress that they have your way. So that's really it, guys. I don't mean to I don't mean to be preachy in this, and I don't think I have been. I don't really mean to throw any rhetoric. It's just information, and if you're curious, go and feed your curiosity. And if you're not curious, fuck it. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? This podcast probably sucked for you. But the next one, we'll see. We'll see about the next one. What I really want to talk about, actually, in the next one, hopefully, is I want to do a little bit of digging on two things. What this state, Massachusetts, is going to do with the process where if you have a medical cannabis card and you really need it, but you also have a job that gives you piss tests, that in-between thing, well, what's going to happen there? Like, you're a good employee, you do everything well, but you're in pain. You have chronic pain. And the only thing that helps is this thing that has been illegal under a tremendous amount of weight of propaganda for years. So how do we shift the mentality on that so that people that already have good jobs, that are good people, that are, I believe, doing good things to help themselves, aren't ridiculed or don't lose their job, Nobody's saying you should go to work high as hell, but, obviously in this modern time, how they're really converting a lot of cannabis stuff is into almost more like ibuprofen things, small little supplements that kind of give you a certain level of that THC that doesn't make you high but really affects your nervous system, so that you are a little more relaxed, so that you don't feel certain aspects of pain in certain parts of your body, So we'll see. I want to look into that a little more, and this other really crazy thing that I've been seeing about, like, old religious figures, the things that they put, whether it's in the Bible, whether it's in any of their written things or their stories, that all of them were on psychedelics when they passed on these stories, which is why everybody now is saying, like, this shit would never happen, and this burning bush is, like, totally not real, and the Moses or whoever the fuck it was that went through the parting sea, like, that would never happen. How come there are no X-Men to this day? Is it because these guys were totally on drugs? You know what I mean? But drugs that connected them to something incredibly spiritual, where they got this lesson of be one with your neighbor, and this and that and this and that, and all these kind of complex, like, mental building blocks of how to, like, really go through the world in a positive way, And then obviously all the other things that kind of went along with, like, the really shitty parts of religion. But yeah, that was something cool that I found, and maybe it's nothing, but wouldn't that be cool if Jesus took a couple mushrooms, and just got in front of a crowd and just started talking all these beautiful things and all these things that he saw, and it was all because he ate a couple little caps, a couple little stems, That'd be hilarious. That'd be so funny. People wouldn't believe you, though. They wouldn't. So we'll see. I'll figure that out next time. But hopefully everybody liked this episode. Hopefully you go and check out whatever things that I kind of threw at you, and I'll try to put a couple things on the site to make it easier for you, so you don't have to go too much digging. And yeah, and that's that. So once again, Equality for Eternity. Check that out. Go there and support those guys. and gals, and also check your local listings for that Link TV. I have a little logo on the website. I'm not sure if it's a link though, but I think it's just a logo. But you can look it up, Link TV, and check it out. They have some killer shows, man. Really good shows. They're awesome and they're entertaining. You know, that's the biggest thing, is that nobody wants to get news when it's done on like the most monotone, just, you know, super suit and tie kind of way. You know, they do it in a really nice way that's almost entertaining. The documentaries are really just done in a really nice cinematic way, almost like the things that Vice puts out. Vice is killer, but I won't get into that right now. But they make some really good, nice news stories. So yeah, guys, just check that out. Like I said, I got it on the site, and damn, and that's it. And if you go to the site, if you have time, put some shit on that Facebook feed. I put a Facebook feed on the homepage, and throw some shit on there. Say that the podcast sucks. Say that you need to start having some fucking guests, because we're sick of hearing you by yourself, or you don't know what the hell you're talking about, or none of this is entertaining, or I just wasted a half hour of my time. Anything you want to throw at me, please, because it lets me know that you at least listen to it, and then I know that I can do something a little better. You know what I mean? Or try to get a little deeper. You know, try to dig into some like crazy shit. Yeah, just throw it up there. It's just a Facebook feed, okay? So hopefully I'll get another one up soon. Oh no, we definitely will. Not hopefully, we will. All right. So take care, guys. Momentum Podcast, Momentum Underground Podcast, and we'll see you next time. All right. Do your research. One love, guys.